Time for number 29 in my Best Picture Marathon. Best Picture Marathon theme song. In 1950, entrepreneur, inventor, Broadway impresario Mike Todd co-founded a company called Cinerama to introduce a new type of widescreen format in movies. Cinerama had certain flaws, so Todd left the company to develop a new type of widescreen that would eliminate those flaws called Todd-AO. But now Todd needed a film to show off the Todd-AO format. The one and only movie that Mike Todd produced was Around the World in 80 Days, released by United Artists in 1956. Adapted from the famous novel by Jules Verne, it tells the story of Phileas Fogg, a wealthy British aristocrat who was obsessed with punctuality in the 1870s. He bets a bunch of other rich British snobs that he can go all the way around the world in only 80 days. Fogg is played by David Niven, who considered this his favorite of all of his roles. Fogg's valet Passepartout was played by Mexican actor and comedian Cantinflas, who was the wealthiest actor in the world at that time, and was known as the Charlie Chaplin of Mexico, though why you would hire a Mexican actor to play a French valet, I don't know. I guess he was just that popular. Along the way, Fogg is pursued by a Scotland Yard detective who thinks he's a crook, played by Robert Newton, best known for playing the definitive Long John Silver, and while traveling through India, Fogg rescues a princess who's about to be sacrificed by a bloodthirsty cult. This Indian princess is played by Shirley MacLaine, who clearly looks whiter than David Niven. The movie was one of the biggest and most spectacular productions ever put together, using footage from all over the world, as well as tons of huge sets in Los Angeles, many of which were designed by Ken Adam, who went on to design iconic sets for Dr. Strangelove and many of the classic James Bond movies. The film is known for a galaxy of cameo guest stars, including Sir John Gielgud, Cesar Romero, George Raft, Marlene Dietrich, Frank Sinatra, Peter Lorre, Red Skelton, John Carradine, and my hero Buster Keaton, who of course shows up on a train. Todd originally hired John Farrow to direct the film. Farrow left because he realized that only one person was really in charge on a Mike Todd production, and that was Mike Todd. Farrow was replaced with Michael Anderson, who was relatively young and inexperienced at that time, and would later go on to direct Logan's Run. It's been a long time since I've watched this movie, and it was about how I remembered it. The film opens with respected journalist Edward R. Murrow talking about Jules Verne and narrating a truncated version of Georges Méliès's landmark silent film A Trip to the Moon. The first act sets up the premise, there's some witty critique of the snobby British aristocracy, and then we get into the big spectacle. Unfortunately, once the adventure actually starts, to me it just gets more and more boring as it goes. I know there are a lot of people who like this movie, but for me there are sequences that go on way too long, particularly the bullfighting scene, in which Cantinflas did his own stunts because he had bullfighting experience. But it just goes on and on and on. I can understand why it was popular at the time, giving us a window into parts of the world that audiences probably wouldn't have been familiar with, although nowadays the novelty of all that is gone and a lot of it seems very dated, particularly some of the reductive depictions of different cultures. I certainly don't think the film is a train wreck, but it is kind of baffling to me that this movie won Best Picture over films like Giant, Cecil B. DeMille's huge hit The Ten Commandments, or John Ford's classic western The Searchers, which was nominated for 0 Oscars. Next up, David Lean's The Bridge on the River Kwai. See you then.